Wrestling with the questions of philanthropy. My first exposure to philanthropy occurred back in the late 1990s when I was approaching 50. At that time, Matt was 16, spoke Mandarin, and visited a Chinese orphanage to help someone, where he learned that a $500 surgery could save or radically improve some lives. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all well. It is a little bit rainy outside, but it's nice to be inside and getting ready to read Principles by Ray Dalio. So I'm really excited to do some more reading. Yesterday was very interesting. We talked about the European debt crisis. We've been talking about it for the last 2 days. Might have been a little bit confusing for some, but feel free to always send me your questions and we'll make videos and answer those, which is also really exciting. So I'll share with you at the end how you can join us on YouTube, how you can send me those messages. And it's great to see lots of hearts and lots of things already happening on a Bigo Live, where we are also live. And it's always great seeing so many people interacting and messaging through Bigo. But let's get into the reading, and then I'll get back to everybody and say hello. And I'll let you know how you can find different other things that we are also doing to help you on your journey to financial freedom. Okay, so today we are talking about wrestling with the questions of philanthropy. Here we go, let's get into it. Reading is such a great way to start the day, feel motivated, have some knowledge and things to implement. So let's do this. Wrestling with the questions of philanthropy. My first exposure to philanthropy occurred back in the late 1990s when I was approaching 50. At that time, Matt was 16, spoke Mandarin, and visited a Chinese orphanage to help someone, where he learned that a $500 surgery could save or radically improve some lives. We and our friends gave him money to help. Then my friend Paul Tudor Jones, that's interesting, somebody mentioned Paul Tudor Jones to me not long ago, taught Matt how to create a 501c3 foundation. And Matt, just in junior high school, created the China Care Foundation in 2000. Matt brought our family to the orphanages, so we had close contact with these special needs kids and fell in love with them. We also watched Matt struggle to decide which children would live and which would die because there wasn't enough money to save them all. Imagine being faced with the choice between a big night out on the town or saving a child's life. That was essentially the choice we constantly faced. This experience led us to become more involved with philanthropy. So in 2003, we set up our own foundation to provide support in more organized ways. We wanted to do our philanthropy together as a family activity, which has proven to be fabulous. Figuring out how to best give away money is as complex an undertaking as figuring out how to make it. Though we now know a lot more about it than we did when we started, we still don't always feel capable to make the best decisions possible. So my family and I are still feeling our way through it. I'll give you a few examples of the questions we have been wrestling with and how our thinking about them has evolved, starting with the question of how much money should be saved for my family relative to how much should go to people and causes that are more distant, yet more desperately in need. Long before I had a lot of money, I had determined that I wanted my sons to have only enough to afford excellent healthcare, excellent education, and an initial boost to help get their careers started. My perspective was influenced by my own journey through life, which took me from having nothing to having a lot. That taught me to struggle well and made me strong. I wanted the same for the people I loved. So when I had earned a lot of money, I felt I had plenty of money to give away to others. Over time, as we gained experience in trying to help in a number of areas, I learned how fast money goes and that we didn't have nearly enough to take care of everything we cared about. Additionally, when my first grandchild was born, it prompted me to wonder how many generations I should budget to protect. Speaking to others in comparable positions, I discovered that even the richest people feel short of the money they need to do the things they want to do. So I studied how other families approach the question of how much to set aside for family and how much to give away at what pace. While our family still has not answered these questions definitely, I know that I personally will give more than half of my money to those beyond my family. Which causes we should donate to was another big question. Barbara's biggest passion has been helping students in the most stressed public school districts in Connecticut, especially those students who are called disengaged and disconnected. A study that she funded showed that 20% of high school students fall into one of these two categories, which was a shock because most will probably become adults who will suffer and be burdens on society rather than flourishing contributors to it. Because she has a lot of direct contact with these children and their teachers, she understands their needs. When she learned that 10,000 of them didn't have winter coats, she felt compelled to provide them. What she showed me opened my eyes. How can clothing and nutrition be so deficient in this land of opportunity? Everyone in our family firmly believes that equal opportunity, which is one of the most fundamental human rights, requires equal educational opportunity, and that educational opportunities are terribly unequal. The economic costs in the form of crime and incarceration, as well as the social costs of not investing in improving these conditions, are immense. While we have felt compelled to help, we've discovered it is very difficult to have a significant impact relative to the size of the problem. Two things on that. One is that it is always an amazement to me that America, such a country where everything is very, very affluent and wealthy, has all of these challenges. Incarceration rates, murder rates, poverty rates. It's unbelievable. It makes sense, though, if you have a look at The Fall of the Roman Empire, which is a great book that I read when I was still in high school. It makes a lot of sense because there are certain things that societies will do, and as society becomes extremely affluent, it becomes a little bit more lazy, it becomes a little bit more greedy. There are all these different things that start happening. So it all makes sense on a fundamental level. But when you are watching this, that is when philanthropy could be something that you can do in order to be able to do something about it. When it comes to philanthropy, this is something very interesting because what you want to do with your quest for financial freedom, your hero's journey, which is what we were talking about yesterday, what you want to be able to do is really start having a look at, well, is there something that I feel very, very drawn to? Is there something that I feel is very important to me? It could be adopting a child. It could be certain people who are blind. It could be certain people that you have noticed. It could be something that's affected you. It could be something that's affected somebody else in your family or one of your close friends. So if you hold on to that thought, if you know what it is and you know how much it will cost, and this is something that I was talking to somebody about yesterday. How clearly do you know what your goal is? How clearly do you know what you're actually working towards? Because when you know what it is that you're working towards, when you know that you have a set goal, you want to achieve this in the next 6 months or this in the next 12 months, then you can start to make your investment decisions based on that. So at the moment, I am working on a little project, which is a lot of fun. Should be documenting it for YouTube, actually. So we might start doing that. So I'm working on this little project, and I've set myself a goal of where I want to be able to get to with that project. So now I know when to say yes to certain investments and when to say no to other investments. I know how much I need to invest. I know how much capital I need. If I don't have that much capital, I know that I need to generate more capital. So then I can change how I do the project in order to be able to generate more capital more quickly. If I have only an income goal and I already have the capital I need, then I can say, okay, I need to make these decisions because that should generate the income that I need. And if, again, I am falling short, then I might need more capital so I can put more in order to be able to generate that income. So you can reverse engineer the process. And I see a lot of people, they say, okay, I need to buy shares. Why do they need to buy shares? They're not sure. They're not really sure of the end goal. You need to be certain of that end goal so that you can then start creating those investments and making the right decisions in order to be able to get those investments to do what you want them to do. So if you have a feeling that this particular share is going to reach a certain level, and then you're going to sell it for a capital gain because you need an extra $500 in order to be able to have enough capital to then start doing some cash flow deals. Or you might be working on your cash flow and you notice that this one particular investment that you have is not giving you sufficient cash flow. So now, while you're still doing this, you're still getting some cash flow in, but you might start looking around to see if you can find something that's going to give you a higher return or a higher cash flow. So your intention, your understanding of what it is that you want to achieve. And this brings us back to Ray Dalio. So if you know that it costs $500 per child to be able to help these children in the orphanage, and you know that there are 100 children in this orphanage that you are supporting, and you do not have sufficient money to be able to look after all of them. So we need 500, we've got 100 children. That means that we are going to need, let's have a look. We're going to need 50,000 to be able to look after all of these children. So if I only have 5,000, means I need 10 times as much. So now I can look for investments, I can look for income, I can look for different things that are going to generate that 50,000. Do I need that within the next year? Do I need it within the next month? Do I need it in the next 3 months? When do these children need this money in order to be able to make sure that I can look after them and save them? So this was a very big theme for me yesterday, and it's something that I am glad that came up today here as well, because it is a massive key that is going to be able to help you in your quest for success. That vision, that ability to be able to know exactly what it is that you want, makes it so much easier to evaluate and look at an investment and say, yes, I'm going to take this one because I know it will get me closer to my goals. Or from my assessment of it, it should be able to get me closer to my goals. Or no, it is not going to get me closer to my goals because the return is much too small. I need to look for something which will get me more in the long term. Now, you can take something that will give you short-term, smaller returns, as long as you can take your money out quickly, as long as it's liquid. If it's liquid, then you can say, okay, I'll put my money in there for the short term. And then as I'm looking for something else, it is still making some money, which is really good. But really, I need to find something which is going to give me a better return if I want to achieve my goal in X number of months, for example. So that is something that you can apply. And those are the lessons from what we've been reading so far. Let's continue a little bit further, and then we'll see if there's anything else that comes up. I feel deeply connected to nature, especially the oceans. The oceans are our world's greatest asset, covering 72% of its surface and comprising 99% of its livable space. Very livable for us, but yes. It thrills me to support scientists who are exploring the oceans and media showing them in the incredible environments they visit. I'm on a mission to make clear that ocean exploration is even more important and exciting than space exploration, so that our oceans get more support and will be more sensibly managed. To add to my excitement, my son Mark is a wildlife filmmaker who shares my passion, so we get to pursue it together. Matt's passion is to bring inexpensive, effective computing to the developing world as a way of expanding and improving education and healthcare. Paul's mission and passion is mental health, and his wife is fighting climate change. Devin is more focused on his career than on philanthropy now, but his wife cares deeply about animal welfare. Our family continues to support special needs kids in China, as well as an institute that teaches best practices to Chinese philanthropists. We also support the teaching of meditation to children in stressful environments and to veterans with PTSD, cutting-edge heart research, microfinance, and other social enterprises, and much more. We view our donations as investments and want to make sure that we have high philanthropic returns on our money. So another big question we wrestle with is how to measure those returns. It's much easier to measure efficiency in a business by seeing how much revenue exceeds its cost. Because of this, we developed an attraction to sustainable social enterprises. Still, I saw that so many philanthropic investments could pay off economically as well as socially, and it tormented me that our society passes them up. This is also very interesting because there are certain ways of doing philanthropy that are good and certain ways that are not so good. So, for example, an example that I watched in a video once, Tom Shoes would say, if you buy a pair of our Tom shoes, we will give a pair to somebody in Africa who needs them more. Now, a lot of African countries don't really need shoes anymore. And it was actually quite damaging because they would buy shoes for children who needed them but didn't really need them. And then the local shoe shop would close because Tom came in and bought all of these children's shoes, and all of these families no longer needed to buy shoes. So while the children were getting shoes, and they were getting them for free, which was wonderful, I suppose, but the local shoe shop, the local shoe manufacturer, ended up going bankrupt and losing all of his business because of this philanthropic cause. So, excuse me, you have to be very careful when you're doing this to make sure that you are doing it so that it benefits everybody and not that there is some loser down the track along with your philanthropic cause. We also wrestle with how big our organization should be and what governance controls we should have in order to ensure the quality of our philanthropic decision making. I approach these decisions the same way I explained in work principles, by creating formalized principles and policies for our decision making. For example, because we are bombarded with more requests for grants than we can intelligently look at, I mandated a policy not to review unsolicited requests so our staff has the time to sort through the areas we want to be focused on. We are continuously improving all our principles and policies, and I dream about building decision-making algorithms for our philanthropic efforts though that's beyond my reach at that moment. As you might have guessed, we also seek advice from the most experienced and respected people possible. Bill Gates and the people we met through our participation in his Melinda Gates and Warren Buffett's Giving Pledge have been enlightening. Others such as Mohammed Yunus, Paul Jones, Jeff Skoll, and Omidyar folks. And the people at TED have been very helpful. The most important thing we've learned is there's no one right way to do philanthropy. We'll do that one again. To do philanthropy, though there are plenty of wrong ways. Giving away the money that I acquired during my lifetime and doing that well has been a joy, a challenge, and the appropriate thing to do at this stage of my life. Okay, we will leave it at that. We are at Bridgewater turns 40, and then the next page is going to be chapter 7. We are burning through this book at a phenomenal rate, and we're having a lot of fun. Okay, I hope you've been enjoying that so far. I have been enjoying reading that for you. I wanted to very quickly also share, because when I was 15, I went to Japan as an exchange student, and it was one of the best years of my life. And it has suddenly rekindled in me. When I came back from Japan, I watched a documentary on Jacques Cousteau. Now, for those of you who don't know Jacques Cousteau, he was an ocean explorer. He had a big boat called the Calypso, and he used to dive and do documentaries about the ocean. And he was a big hero to me. I loved what he did. On his 70th birthday, he went to visit John Denver, a friend of his who was a singer, who unfortunately died in a plane crash with a plane that he built himself. And on his 70th birthday, he said that his dream was to see every child in America go overseas as an exchange student for 1 year. It was going to be a compulsory part of the education program. Now, unfortunately, he died before he was able to see that dream become a reality. But it is something that I picked up, and it is something that probably this project that I'm working on could be linked and related to, in order to be able to start seeing how much it would cost and what I would need to be able to do to be able to create this at a school. So I am thinking that I am going to start having a look at approaching a school and looking at a way to find out how many students there are and seeing if there is a way to be able to get them all on an exchange to another country in order to be able to promote world peace. Because here is the interesting thing. When you go overseas as a child at the age of, say, around 12, 13, 14 years old, I went when I was 15, for example, you know, you're not prejudiced yet. So you go over and you look at things and you say, wow, that's different. You don't say, oh, they're doing it wrong. They don't do it the same way as me. That's ridiculous. You look at the world through very, very, not naive eyes, but you look at it from very innocent eyes. And so you experience that things can be done differently, and you are much softer to the world at that point in your life. So when those children all come back, they've experienced this amazing new culture. They've seen that people don't have to do things the same way. They see that things can be different, and that there's nothing wrong with that. And not only do they learn a new culture and a new language, and you wouldn't want to go to war with somebody that you understand, somebody whose language you speak, somebody whose culture you understand. So it would promote world peace as well. But if this was school-wide, if everybody in the same class has to do this, they go overseas, they come back, they join the same class again, and now the child who's been to America will talk to the child who's been to an Asian country and to an African country, and they're going to be able to share their experiences together. This is my big vision. It's always been my big vision. And I think it's been a little bit suppressed by all the things that I've been doing, all the investment, all the cash flow things, the club, the people that I'm working with. It's been a little bit suppressed. So I think it needs to come back out. And this chapter has definitely brought that out for me. So it doesn't have to detract from everything that I'm doing. It can be a vision that allows me to continue working on everything in order to be able to generate funds to create that possibility so that I can work on that. So that is something that I wanted to quickly share with you before we start wrapping up. It's been absolutely amazing having you today. I really liked today's chapter. I hope you did as well, or this section really. I would love to know your thoughts though. So feel free to join me on Instagram. You can find me at business_team_6_official. And I would love to hear your thoughts on the philanthropy, whether you have projects that you're working on. Do you give to charity? What kind of things do you do? I always love hearing from you. So feel free to send your messages. If there's anything that you're not sure of, if there is economic terms or anything that is a little bit confusing, or if you have questions about philanthropy, feel free to send your questions and I will turn those into videos and answer those for you. If you want to watch the other chapters that we've read or other books that I've read, you can find that at YouTube, and you can find the videos that we're going to make answering your questions there as well. You can find us at the Passive Cash Flow Club on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe, because if we answer questions, those videos will be uploaded, you'll be notified, and you might be able to find your question or a question that is not one that you asked, but that does answer something for you that is important for you, so that you can move ahead and invest better than you might have up until this point. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube. And if you'd like to join me and play a game of cash flow, or our online version, which is even better, it has more realistic scenarios. It will teach you about real estate, business, stocks, all sorts of different things, the mindset of wealthy people. It will trick your mind into how you can start doing some of these things for yourself in real life. Will help you to bridge the gap in order to be able to go from just playing the game to actually taking it to real life. Yesterday, we had somebody sign up for a membership, which means that they will be mentored by me and they will be in a mastermind so that they can share resources and we can guide them along the way, not just with regards to where they're at, but to where they want to go, and help them in real life with their investing. So getting that bigger picture and then being able to figure out which steps, what things are going to get them there. That is where we want you all to be. So if you'd like to join, make sure you message me on Instagram as well, business_team_6_official, and I will get my VA, my virtual assistant, to send you the details so that you know when and where you can join us. And we've got some new things coming up very, very soon. Excuse me. That my VA and I are working on to make sure that there is as much value and as much possibility for you to be able to join us so that you can literally achieve your goals and dreams. Okay, I am looking forward to hearing from you in one of those places or even in all of them. Have an absolutely amazing day, and remember to make the switch to unlock your rich. If you keep doing everything the way you've always done it, then you're going to keep getting the same results. But if you make the switch today, you will start to unlock the rich, and I am happy to help you with making that switch. You have to make the decision, but we can help and guide you. So have a great day. I am really looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to go across to Bigo now and say hello to everybody there that's been reacting and writing and sending little hearts and things. Have an amazing day, and I will see you all for another reading tomorrow. And thanks so much once again for joining.